Hey guys, what I've got right here is a really cool species of snake. This is a pygmy rattlesnake. And throughout their range, they're actually the same species, but right down here in Central Florida, this is a subspecies known as the Dusky pygmy rattlesnake. And it's pretty obvious they have much darker patterns than the usual pygmy rattlesnake. They have a nice orange stripe that goes on the back, which makes them really pretty. Now, it's called a pygmy rattlesnake for a pretty obvious reason. These guys don't get much bigger than 2 feet. I mean, this guy is obviously fairly small. He's not even a foot long, but he still could pack a pretty bad bite. Now, even though they are a venomous snake, they're not one of the most dangerous snakes. Some people can get bit and not even have to go to the hospital. They do cause a lot of swelling though, so if you ever get bit by a pygmy rattlesnake, I would always advise going to the hospital just to check that out. But I would never advise handling these snakes because despite the fact that they're not as dangerous as some of the other rattlesnakes that live in our area, it's definitely not something you want to get bit by and something you wouldn't want to mess with because it is a wild animal. Now, one of the cool things about the snake is that although they do have a rattle, it actually is much less used for actual defense because you can't really hear it. But one thing I like to think that these things are used, almost used as a caudal lure because they like to move it around almost like a worm, which is really cool. Now this particular snake, I can see, looks like on the right side of his face, he definitely seems to have some sort of either injury or some sort of gum disease because he seems to have something going on there. Now this snake, they like to live in a whole bunch of habitats, from sandy open areas to right now we're almost in a hardwood hammock swamp. So they can be found in a whole variety of habitats. And these guys also eat a variety of foods: rodents, bugs, frogs, other snakes. So they're definitely a cool thing to see. Now, they're probably one of the most common venomous snakes they actually have here in Florida, but they're so small they're rarely seen. Luckily, this guy happened to be sitting in the middle of the trail, so he was pretty easy to find. But a lot of people don't really seem to be so lucky, and people are commonly bit when they're reaching down to find something in their backyard in the dark. And this guy just happens to be sitting, they don't see him. So I'd always just leave these snakes alone if you see them in the trail. And if you can, try to help them just move off the trail. So that's definitely what I'm going to do when we're done with this guy, so you don't want anyone else to step on him. Don't want him to get hurt, but definitely a really cool snake to see, and I'm glad to be this lucky to find one today.